Jim, I had this experience and I want to share it with you. And I think it's around judgment. So I was in my dance class and 8 or 10 people there, women there, and all different shapes and sizes and ages. And in the back row, there was one woman who I'll call Miss Buff because she was built. I mean, it was clear she put a lot of attention into her body. She wore a little thing with the abs showing and the muscles and then right next to her was dancing a woman, and the Miss Buff I had never seen before, but dancing right next to her was a woman who I had danced with before, and I knew her history, and she had recently lost 100 pounds, and she was courageous and brave to be in a dance class. And so I'm watching the two of them dance next to each other, kind of out of the corner of my eye, and I'm watching Miss Buff really pay attention and have her attention on Miss Brave.
Like judgments.
And it was judgments. And so after class, we're all leaving the room, and I'm talking to Miss Brave. How's your work? Good to see you again. And I'm watching Miss Buff, and she's like fixated, staring at Miss Brave. And so I'm just watching this, and you could tell the energy was she was judging Miss Brave. And so it's time to go. And so I walked over to Miss Buff, and I introduced myself. Nice to see you. This is the first time I've seen you here. And her attention was still on Miss Brave. So I said, that woman, she's amazing. She's lost over 100 pounds, and she's so courageous.
And she's still heavy?
She is still heavy. And Miss Buff was reacted. She was like shaking her head, or somehow what I had said had opened up another possibility, or turned her judgment into something else about Miss Brave.
Yeah.
So it was a real interesting experience for me, because I got to be in my space, be invisible, and I was able to watch what was going on energetically and do something very gentle, unobtrusive, to hopefully help this other person see the situation differently.
Sure.
Move out of judgment, maybe.
Well, this word judgment is really a big deal right now. Everybody judges. And the judgment is around right and wrong and good and bad, and they're this and they're not of that. So all part of that whole 3D scripting that we talk about. But you did something really valuable. In Mastering Alchemy, we constantly say, how do you make 1 and 1 3? How do you take something to the high road? How do you uplift somebody? And so one of the things that I just heard you say is, by being in present time and observing, you both saw the judgment and saw the opportunity to change the judger into an observer and an appreciator, rather than staying stuck in the place that they validate themselves. If she was all buffed out, clearly she's done a lot of work for herself. But that comparison, that competition, that judgment, competition being really one of the kind of actually ugly spiritual words in our reality. If you're banging tennis balls across the net with somebody and you're really trying to perfect your game, competition's a wonderful thing because it improves you. But the one where I'm better than you, or I need to put you down in order for me to feel good, competition. But what you're talking about is actually really important as we kind of unfold going into this really next stage of this shift, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to jump up in people's faces. Each one of us are shedding the I'm not okay, and shedding all of our own embarrassments and our own lacks. They're leaving. They're all coming to the surface. But as my inability, or my insecurity, or my uncertainty about myself comes up, that unconscious aspect of judgment is, I'm kind of not okay, but am I better than that one?
Yeah.
And so that really insecure judgment is something that I'm kind of saying to everybody, you really, really want to, I even want to say need to, pay attention to, because it's that judgment to a great extent that we think we're judging them. Are they okay, not okay? Why would they do that? Isn't that crazy? Really, they're your mirror.
Mm-hmm. So where in my space do I judge other people? Maybe not in that way,
Yeah.
but in other ways.
Well, we all do that. So
Yeah.
let's just, but the point here in this kind of conversation is, if you can begin to notice your judgment and then recognize this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere I'm judging them in my own inadequacy. And this whole shifting state of consciousness that we're in is really demanding, although that word doesn't show up with any kind of push, but you're being pushed to let go of all of the judgments, all of the competition, all the you're not okays, all of the things that make you competing with, which is really generally very unconscious. But the second part, going back to, for all of those playing in this spiritual space, which is pretty much everybody listening, really look for the opportunity where you can take something that has a negative challenge to it or an awkward feeling, as you did, and just say, isn't it amazing that she looks that good and she's just lost all this weight? Mm-hmm. It just presents a completely different perspective that the person judging wasn't even aware of or considering. Yeah. So you do somebody a tremendous service, but you really do yourself a tremendous service when you look for that opportunity. How can I alter this circumstance and raise it up to a higher vibration like you did? Is really important.
This word judgment, though, I'm thinking, we know judging other people, we know the uncomfortable negative side of it, and there's another side of judgment where it's positive, where it's helpful for us. I'm going to judge what is right and what is wrong. I have a judgment about if it's okay to do this or not okay to do this.
Well, I see that
Would
slightly.
I call that a judgment?
I wouldn't call that judgment.
Discerning.
Personally. That's a discerning. I'm discerning between what's in my best interest, or I would like chocolate versus vanilla. Mm-hmm. So that's a discerning.
And there's no charge.
There's no charge on that. But the judgment has a charge. Bad, good, right, wrong. And that's really this third dimensional, part of the rules of the third dimensional game, the duality of the two choices. And where everything's going, we'll talk about this more so in future morning conversations, is this word duality, as we understand it, right, wrong, good, bad. But the duality in this shift is beginning to be the aspects of balance, of choice. Take feminine and masculine, right. Where there's a flow and an ease and then a structure to allow the flows to be materialized into creation. And that's a oneness, a unity that has two aspects of creation versus this or that, us or them.
Now, if I look at these two women, they're so different physically. And Miss Buff was kind of throwing energy, or there was an energy that she was directing at Miss Brave that Miss Brave feels. And it's that judgment that keeps the two of them from saying hello to each other.
Sure. Two different realities, two different universes. One, somebody, let's give her the benefit of the doubt that really put a lot of time into her own physical presence. And the other one has a set of circumstances. You don't know whether it's a genetic issue, a health issue. You don't know anything. And see that. Let me talk about that, because this is really an important thing in this context of judgment. When somebody's standing before you, you really have no idea where they came from. You don't know their history. You don't know their lifetimes. You don't know anything. And you also, at that minute, have no idea where they're going. And so what I've found often is just to say hello to that person right exactly where they are. Hello, I see you. Hello, nice dress you have on. It doesn't matter. It's that one hello that you never know whether it changes somebody's complete direction. And in Mastering Alchemy, we've watched that
Oh, a
happen
lot.
hundreds of times, where it's just simply, you're okay, and people burst into tears because nobody's ever given them permission to look
Yeah.
at their okayness. So this aspect of judgment and beginning to really notice, how do I look at this situation and alter it so that it is 1 + 1 = 3, kind of taking things to a higher road. But this space that we're in, this aspect of this shifting consciousness that we're in, is really demanding you, a person, to pay attention, because it's all about you. It's 100% about you. Everything is coming up to the surface that you've hidden from, run away from, avoided in your lifetime, or believed you weren't okay because. All that's coming to the surface to be let go of in this shifting consciousness. So the more you can recognize, I'm okay, and I'm observing. And when you catch yourself judging, ask yourself, where is it about me that I feel inadequate or weak or insecure? And that's the space where recognize, actually, I'm okay.
And if you can make yourself okay, then those other people are okay too.
Right, and the opportunity to not see her as heavy
Right.
or obese or not in good shape. All of a sudden you realize, boy, you have really beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
Where a moment ago
you're
I
smart.
never saw her eyes, or wow, that was really clever, or how nice of you to say that to somebody.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden have room to validate, appreciate, uplift, nurture. But it's all about you. It's 100% about you. And that's the space where, as this shift is unfolding, you're going to see lots of things that are going to come to the surface where you are going to rely on other people. You're going to request assistance from other people. You're going to need other people. And they're going to need you. And so if the world shifts in a way to where you're already in that nurturing, uplifting, helping, supportive, loving appreciation in yourself, the ability to navigate these shifts without having the shifts be really traumatizing things is going to be a very valuable lesson to have learned all by itself. So judgment's a big deal. But the fact that you could do it the way you did it, and be able to transform it and point out to somebody, and you altered that woman's perspective, and the other woman, she'll go on her way and find her own opportunity for that. But her validation of, look at me, I've lost 150 pounds. I'm really pleased with myself, even though she's still 200 pounds or something.
Whatever.
So judgment's really big deal.
Big deal.
To pay attention to going forward. So, good experience you had.